Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of February 19th, where we are going to, in this video, discuss what is the cosmic energy that is floating around for us, and where can we ride those cosmic waves, where can we avoid the hiccups, and where can we really use the energy to move something forward, especially this week to make changes that we want to make. So if that's content or guidance or support that you're interested in, I would love to have you here on this channel. And I would love it even more if you would just subscribe. Come on, get in here. Join in with us. This is the Soulmate Family Tribe. That's what we've got going on here. And this community is lush. It is beautiful. It is supportive. From people being real, live people and sharing experiences to also bringing in the deep energy and wisdom of astrology. We have got a gorgeous community here and we've just been waiting for you. So hit the subscribe button, like this video, comment, share, subscribe, of course, jump in with us. Now, if we haven't met before, I am practicing professional astrologer Stormie Grace, and I'm an evolutionary and a humanistic astrologer, which means I focus on what is the soul's story? What are you trying to unfold? And then in the humanistic lens, I tell you as a human being, how can we go ahead and use your chart to get that done? So super pumped about this week. Not only because it is a full moon week, and if you have not had a chance to get the full in-depth view of my full moon in Virgo video, I'll put a card up here so you can link to it, and I'll also put it at the end of this video. So go and check that out. There's also stuff in the description box down below so you can really align it with your chart and see where that moon is pulling up things, drawing up an impact for you. So make sure you check that out. But besides just having a full moon week, this is a very Uranian week. I really do. And I know that sometimes that can seem a little bit scary because Uranus sometimes represents like this instability. But this week, I actually feel like the Uranian influence that is available to us is about breaking old habits that we've been finding it hard to get away from, but then also having to remember that just because we're willing, just because we're starting to take some action on breaking something, doesn't mean we've just whipped ourselves into shape by Sunday. That's just not it, but the change energy is available here. Now, we're also seeing this week that we've got Venus and Mars coming into a new 2-year cycle in conversation with each other, which means that genuinely how we relate to ourselves is so on the table. We saw Venus and Mars come into dances with Pluto last week. And if you haven't seen my video on that, please check it out here. I will make sure I put a link for it here and at the end of the video because you want to know your pain points and how you relate to yourself now so that you can more easily pick up an empowered solution for where you need to go, or what can help you break down the habits that you've been experiencing, or where you can let community into your life to support you as you're going through the changes of habit that you need to make. So we've got a lot going on this week. Before we jump in and actually talk about the forecast, if you are someone who has got your planet signs and houses underneath your belt, you've got those aspects underneath your belt, but you are not really sure how to put a chart together or how to interpret it and speak it out, or if you want more chart synthesis practice, we've got a 6-week class coming up in just a couple weeks. We're starting March 5th. I would love to have you jump in with me. It's going to be group coaching, but it's live. It's us. I'm going to be right there with you, teaching you to walk through this chart, and then you're going to do it. You're going to do it. I'm going to make sure before you leave in that 6 weeks, you have spoken a chart out loud. So if this is a skill that you are serious and you want to have it under your belt, I would absolutely love to have you in class. The link's in the description box down below. As well, if you happen to be one of the creative entrepreneurs, whether it's astrology, tarot, song bowls, painting, whatever it is, if you are looking to bring your expertise to YouTube, but you're unsure how to do it, you don't know the method, it's overwhelming, maybe you're already doing it and you're kind of burnt out, I've got a YouTube training coming up that also starts on March 2nd. We're going to spend 5 days together getting you to put together content that speaks specifically to your audience, to the algorithm, and gets you found. So I would love to have you in my business school. Step on into the description box down below and join me as we take that journey together. Now into the week, let's go. So first and foremost, as we are here on Monday. We're coming into this week and the energy is traveling, and the energy of the moon, is traveling in Cancer. Okay, so we're coming into this week and Monday is a moon day. So we're coming in, the moon is on its correctly placed, energetically sound kind of day. So we're also coming in a bit nurturing. Monday, as you're coming in this week, you may be coming in also more slowly, but you are coming in because Cancer is a cardinal energy. So the fresh start is here, but on Monday, you might not be thinking, you know what? I want to have the most important meeting of the week. I want to be going hard, hitting it, getting it as we come into Monday. Monday, you might be coming in nice and slow, taking a little bit extra time with your coffee or your tea, and you're answering those emails, but you're giving yourself a lot of space to nurture who you are, nurture the day into your spirit, kind of be at ease. If there are parenting or family or domestic tasks, you're like, let me answer this email and then I'll put those dishes away. You know, it's just a slower but very efficient start, to the week. Now, the moon is going to come throughout the day into a trine with Saturn, into a beautiful water trine, and come into a sextile with Jupiter, who's in Taurus. So now we've got this sextile between earth and water, and they mix together beautifully. So this is a really welcoming kind of energy that the moon or our insides are experiencing. So it's great energy for, do you need to do something in your house, in your domestic space? You're feeling very practical about it. You're grounded. You're like, yeah, I'm also feeling a bit more generous in terms of the energy. I can apply some wisdom and some expansion that I've been able to bring into my life. It's a pretty uplifted kind of energy, especially of feeling good about who you are, feeling good about the foundations that are underneath you. So this is a lovely energy as we're coming in here. Now, we're also going to see on Monday that we have got Chiron really tightened into this conjunction with the North Node, and we have also got the opposition then, of course, with the South Node. Now, as Chiron comes together in this conjunction with that Aries North Node, and I continue to talk about this, but Chiron being this wounded healer energy is where, you think of the story of Chiron, and Chiron couldn't heal itself, right? It just couldn't do it. So the real healing came when Chiron was able to take its wounds, recognize those wounds in someone else, and provide support, teaching, healing, mentorship that led to both parties or all parties receiving a healing as well. So with this conjunction at the North Node and in Aries, Chiron has been healing and working on the wound of the identity, where we have stereotyped ourselves into small little boxes, identities that we've maybe even needed to shed because they're not us anymore, right? So wherever the "this is who I am" wound had previously been really inflamed, Chiron has done a lot of healing on that. And now Chiron together with the North Node is saying it is your destiny, because the North Node pulls us forward to our destiny, right? It says it is your destiny to heal from your past by sharing that story or that experience with others. Okay, and that is a really big deal. Now, the challenge is, I think, in that opposition to the Libra South Node is that, even in this new identity that's more healed and we're not looking so much through the lens of the wound, it can be this dance where we're going, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? Who can I help? What am I supposed to do at this point in my life? And the universe is telling you, go here, go where it was painful for you, and now help somebody else with that. But your opposition to Libra is like, but that's not very pretty. Like, I don't like that. Those are not the people I like. I like this over here, right? So that South Node in Libra, ruled by Venus, is wanting to stay comfortable in like an old pattern. When really it's like the detachment, the pulling away from this is surrendering that old relationship is really where we're going to be able to have the healing, because essentially we are still looking to create the integration between that North Node Chiron conjunction and the South Node. We don't want to just be going, oh, it's all me over here with my healed beauty, thank God for me. And we don't want to be going all the way back over here, which is I have to live in the past and I have to stay here and it all has to be nice and it all has to be pretty. Instead, we want to bring these two things in the opposition, these two relations into the center and say, you know what? I actually have a really strong purpose based out of things that I've already experienced and begin to come to the other side of. And when I do that, it's actually beautiful. And I break away from an old pattern or an old relationship or old regrets or old resentments in relationship or power dynamics from the past. And that's really how we use this energy for a healing. And in this way on Monday, I think that we also see that the Jupiter, Saturn, Moon conversation that is happening is really leading us to a place of not just growth, but a lot of maturity that comes with accepting that that's a piece of our story as well. Now, when we get to Tuesday, we see the moon continuing to travel through the vibration of Cancer, but now we see it get interesting, I think, because the moon is going to come now into this conversation of sextile with Uranus. Now, remember, the sextile aspect means that there's a pocket of opportunity that is available here, but we are typically intelligently taking action on it. So, motivated from the inside out, you are likely in motion or able to be in motion and take advantage of this sextile, which is I want to break free from something. You know, I want to break out from something. I want to experience something new, something different. There's a lot that comes in this lesson base where it's just almost like information can even be coming to you. And you're like, that is very clear. That is very valuable. I needed that in order to make some different decisions and take some different actions. But it's very active that you are seeking out the change that's here. Now, I do think that this is really great because if you are finding out that there are things going on, that behaviors particularly or emotions that are not serving you anymore, this energy, you might be calling it right to the surface, right to your table to be like, okay, I'm really ready to break free from this. I'm ready to have a different experience. And this energy will be calling it right on in. Now, as we get to the end of Tuesday and we're moving into Wednesday, we're going to see that the moon moves into the void of course position. So when the moon is void of course, it's like it's not aspecting any other planet. So the energy is not moving. It's not lush. It's really the time to rest. It's the time to rest, to finish things up that need to be done. It's not the time to be pushing anything new forward. You know, maybe you've had this epiphany of, wow, I got this new information, or, you know, in connection with that Uranian energy earlier, the moon, like it let you know, you're like, whoa, I've been not very conscious of something that's been going on and now I know. And you almost need a minute to like sit with yourself and get right with yourself about the information. We're also going to see on Wednesday that the moon moves into this fiery vibration of Leo. So now we've got a fire day. It's all quite passionate, right? It is really like a sweet vibration, but as the moon is traveling here out of that void of course time frame and into the vibration of Leo, some things you want to ask yourself is check in from the last 30 days of checking in with your own life. Where are you having fun? Are you having any fun yet? Where is there joy? Where is there play? You got to just like stop taking yourself so serious and let there be a little bit of pleasure. You know, in 30 days, it's so interesting who and what we become as human beings and patterns that present themselves and the way that we very easily can push pleasure and play out of our lives. You know, when's the last time you actually had a conversation with your child, if you're the parent, where you were just there in the present, in the now, joyfully having a conversation with that child, or you with your parent, if you are coming from that child perspective, right? With your spouse, with your partner in matters of love, do you have like, you know, a chokehold on the love life or something like that? Or when's the last time you just let it be good, let it be easy, let it be fun? You know, whatever this looks like for you, as the moon is traveling the next couple days through the vibration of Leo, maybe don't take yourself so seriously, or see where you can lighten up, and definitely add a little bit of rosemary and cinnamon to your cooking to just bring in those absolute Leo vibes. Now, when we get to Thursday, now very, very early in the morning, so of course, depending on where you live, it could be Wednesday or Thursday, but we're going to see Venus and Mars, the lovers, coming into a conjunction. And here they are, they're in conjunction in Aquarius. Okay, so as these two come together, first and foremost, it's raw. This is a raw, primal energy. These are the lovers coming together. So, you know, your desire for attention, for intimacy, for connection, for spicy is going to be lit up very, very much so. But this is also where Venus and Mars are coming into a new year cycle with one another. They're starting a brand new voyage together. So for you, as you're pulling it in this week, also think about the fact that it's in Aquarius. So, where are you relating to yourself differently now in ways that are maybe even outside of the box? More than that, one of the things I just feel so called to say to you is, where are you willing to let yourself fall in love with the new and right for you groupings of people? And so much of this has been speaking to that, especially again, as we look back at, Mars and Venus being in conjunction with Pluto last week and hitting onto our pain points. And it was saying, what are you struggling with? What's the problem? What's the challenge? Because that is your grouping of people that you can serve, or go to them and let them be of service to you, so that you can fall back in love with yourself, with your own life, so that you can come back to the understanding of your own innate worthiness, right? And as Venus and Mars come together here, I think that this absolutely solidifies that particular conversation. And Aquarius is telling us, I'm thinking outside of the box. Maybe the grouping of people, or maybe the idea, or maybe the method you're going to go about coming to this love is really nothing you ever thought of, and you're doing it online. So whatever that is, the energy is absolutely there. Now, we also see here that very in the evening, we're going to see that the moon is also opposing all of this delicious Venus-Mars dynamic. So as you get the moon opposing this raw, primal kind of energy, one of the things that you want to know is that this is just an abundance of passion. It's an abundance of intense energy that is on the table. It's very easily under this, you can see something and it's almost like you fall in love with it, because you're seeing something that is just like an oasis in a space that has felt like a desert to you. And I think that that's fine, as long as you are just mindful of what it is that you are looking for, what you're looking at. Be mindful that the moon moves very, very quickly. It's gone every 2.5 days. So what's coming in might not be staying either. So, if you go out and everybody always goes to the cafes here in Spain. If you're at the cafe and you look over and so-and-so's over there and you're making spicy eyes, you feel the connection, all of these things, that you might be in limerence. It might just be limerence. There might be a story that's happening there. It's not necessarily the real deal. So whatever comes up at this time, I would just give it a little bit of space, especially with all that delicious raw energy just running rampant out there on the table, okay? Now, also here on Thursday, we see the moon that's traveling through that Leo vibration coming into a square with Uranus and Taurus. So a couple days ago, it was in sextile. We were living our best life, ready to make changes. And then we get to Thursday and the moon is in a square to Uranus. And it's like, well, wait a minute. I'm ready to make these changes, but it's like I can't make the changes stick, right? I'm ready to break this habit. But there can be this frustration because it's like, I just can't get this thing to stick. How come I just can't leave that sugar alone? How come I just can't make my money start coming in? Whatever it is. So this can be a little bit of a stressful energy as we're here on Thursday. So I just want you to kind of keep that in mind as you're moving into the vibration of Friday. Now, as we get later in the day on Thursday, we're going to see that the moon moves again into a void of course position, and it's a particularly long void of course. So rest. Really give yourself time Thursday evening, coming in through and traveling through the beautiful ruled by Venus day on Friday. Space to rest. Let things culminate, like shake the sediment to the bottom and just be. And I would really, because Friday is in general ruled by Venus, I would engage you and invite you to just be beautiful on Friday. And what does that mean to you? What is your practice of just being? What is your beauty routine that you're bringing into Friday, that you do it just because it enhances the way you feel about your being? That's a really wonderful use of that void of course time. Now, early in the day, we're also going to see that while we're doing all of that void of course, Mercury is going to move into the energy of Pisces. Two things to consider here. First of all, Mercury wants fast information. It asks the question, it wants a response, and it wants to share information like this, right? It's like, we're going. But when Mercury gets into the vibration of Pisces, it can't do that. It's like it's trying to communicate in water, right? Have you ever like opened your mouth under underwater. I hope you haven't done that and you're like trying to communicate a message. This is a terrible example, but it's like that. Okay. So think about that as you are coming into your conversation over the next handful of weeks until we get to March 10th. The communication is more like in water. It might not be so direct. It might not be as quick. Instead, what you're going to really call, fall, and pull into is your intuitive and emotional intelligence rising to the surface. So, in one sense, it means that as you're engaging and you're interacting with people and yourself, you're really using that intuitive body to suss out what is going on, right? To hear, to literally in the vibration, hear a truth, hear the connection. And that is the other thing that Mercury in Pisces is going to call from each of us, a lot of vulnerability. And in that vulnerability is where we create connection. So, this is something to be thinking about as you're traveling here on Friday is what is your story of vulnerability that maybe you're calling out, and how are you calling it out? Because this is an energy where you can really be in what I call the rejuvenation space, where you're reflecting, you're thinking, you're being with yourself. Maybe you're creating your art, you're singing, you're dancing, you are, what is it that's coming up out of you? But it is laced with truth and vulnerability in this Piscean way. And the only way you can really communicate it, Mercury, is to somehow use and engage the emotional and intuitive intelligence even in your body to express that energy out. Now, we do get a little bit, I think, of grounding help here because after the void of course period, we'll see the moon move into Virgo, and Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So at least at the lunar level, and again, the emotional body, we get a little bit of grounding in the earth energy. However, Virgo here it's a mutable energy. So there can be a lot of worry as this starts to come in and we get to, midday, late day Friday, where you're starting to worry a little bit more, or you are going through that file, or you're working on something where there is a fair amount of intellectual information and you're like lost in the sauce, or you're not perceiving it correctly, or somehow the information feels like you just can't get it to stick in some way. So in this energy, what I would tell you is remember that we're always in any kind of opposition, no matter what it is. We're looking for the sweet spot in the middle. So in the space of vulnerability, Mercury and Pisces, if you've got a lot of information going on and you're not quite clear on it, but then that Virgo moon is like, yeah, but we need to do it. It needs to be right. We need to understand. We need to get it perfect, right? And instead of having all of this misunderstanding, the sweet spot in the middle is to go, well, wait a minute. I think I'm actually missing something here. Let me slow down so that I can get the facts. Let me ask some questions if I feel like I don't know what's really going on. Because I do think sometimes one of the most vulnerable things that adult human beings do is go, okay, wait, I was here when you said what you said, but I wasn't actually listening, or I didn't catch it. Would you say it to me again? That is so vulnerable, but at the same time, it is so helpful in conversation to move things to the middle. So just keep in mind on Friday, if you've missed the information, it's totally okay. You're not the worst person in the world. If somebody introduces themselves to you and 5 seconds later, you're like, what does she say her name is? Just be confident. Just be beautiful. You're totally valid, worthful and valuable. Just ask them for their name again, okay? All right, as we're blowing into Saturday now, first of all, we have got the energy of the full moon on and ready. So then we have this full moon in very service-oriented Virgo, asking us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. And I'm telling you, you really want to get clear on the lunar family that this lunation is a part of, because this is wrapping up and asking you to bring to culmination or pivot a story that started for you in August of 2022 and will fully culminate for you at the end of this year in November. So what is this story for you? And also, when you are looking at this moon, make sure you're locating 5 degrees of Virgo in your own particular chart, whether it's your natal chart, solar return, progressed, solar arc, what are you doing and what do you have at 5 degrees of Virgo, or any of the mutable placements, because you're going to definitely be feeling some of the impact of this particular moon. And if you don't know how to find this particular transit or any transit in your chart, I've got a video in the description box down below to show you exactly how to find any of the active transits in your own personal chart, okay? But we're going to spend the day on Saturday in the vibration of the full moon. So it means that things are just very much so illuminated. All of the light in the sky is on. So it is a day of culmination. There can be intensity around it. But I also think with this particular full moon, like I said in the video, I think that we're really ready to take on the change. I think that we're ready to make a strategy to nurture some newness into our lives. And, you know, earlier in the week, we had the moon in a nice conversation with Uranus, and it was like, yeah, listen, I get it today. I see it. I'm going to make some changes. I'm not going to be eating all that sugar because it inflames my body. I'm not going to be spending money like this, you know, whatever it is. So I actually think that this particular moon gives a lot of credence to being willing to do that. Now, the one thing I want to point out is that as we are here on Sunday, it's really interesting because the moon ends up coming into this really nice trine with Uranus. And we've seen the moon dance with Uranus in several dance steps this week. We had the sextile, we had the square, now we've got this trine, okay? So as we're seeing the moon come into a trine, and it's an earth trine with Uranus here on Sunday, one of the things is that I feel like you feel more stable. You know, it was like in the beginning of the week, I'm ready to make the changes. I can't make the changes I want, so maybe I'm feeling some kind of way about it. I'm feeling stuck, whatever that looks like. And as we arrive here on Sunday, it's like, okay, the self-pity is not going to be useful, so you're a little bit more open for an exploration of new in the physical world, physical reality solutions to how you can help yourself. And I think that that particular trine from the moon, from the inside out to Uranus, is really going to be helpful. Now, I also think that that's a good thing because we're going to see on Sunday as well that Venus and Jupiter are dancing in the square with one another, which is great because it's like if you want to be social and you want to be talking about it, or you're like, you know what, I'm just trying to kick this sugar and you're literally like being a little bit more joyful or practical about it, and maybe you're telling somebody, or you just have a general sense of optimism that's coming in that lets you be a little bit easier on yourself. I think that it's really good for this energy. Now, what I don't think that Venus and Jupiter is good for at all on Sunday is getting this brand new idea of the new way that I can approach this thing I'm trying to change, and I'm going to work really, really hard at it, and I'm just going to be the best, and I'm going to set all of these goals, even if I'm not clear that I can attain them, or I'm going to set up this plan for my week, or I'm going to enter into this project or this business deal, or I'm going to have expectations of my partner, right? Like anything that requires a lot of hard work and like absolutes, it's gonna be this. This is not a great energy to put on that Venus and Jupiter vibration, and therefore to put on ourselves. Instead, be easy. It's more like, okay, my partner and I are working towards having something different in our relationship, and today we did this well, right? Like celebrate the wins over and over and over again. But that square puts you in a position where you have to choose to celebrate the wins. The wins because the challenge is going to present itself. It's like, yeah, you said you weren't eating sugar at the beginning of the week. Why do you have Skittles? Skittles are sugar. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. So celebrate the wins where it's like, yeah, okay, you're right. I missed it. I said I wasn't having sugar and I ate a Skittle. But then I realized I had a Skittle and I put the bag down and I picked up a banana. Celebrate the wins. That's really the energy that I think Sunday has to offer us. So if you have found something valuable in this content, please hit the like button. Definitely share it with somebody this week who maybe needs some help in their travel. Go to my next video over here, which is brand new kind of content where I am covering the astrology of midlife and menopause. So if that is you, you know somebody who is there, jump in and let's talk astrologically and practically about what is going on there. So check that out in my next video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.